The fastest man in the world, Usain Bolt, has broken the 100-meter sprint record 3 times in a row, with his first being a time of 9.72 in 2008, beating the previous world record of 9.74 by Asafa Powell. Here you can see that Usain Bolt's current world record is still over 0.10 seconds quicker than the joint second fastest ever sprinters, Tyson Gay and Johan Blake. However, as seen on the linked YouTube video, Michael Johnson has questions over Usain Bolt's technique, particularly when starting out of the blocks and moving through his drive phase. This slow motion footage shows an anterior view of Bolt starting from the blocks. Notable things to look at here are his leg movement, particularly where his knees are going when the leg is flexing at the hip, and also how his shoulders are moving. As with nearly all movements, there will be an ideal technical model to adhere to. In terms of running, energy and time is wasted when the limbs do not move in a linear fashion. When the body deviates from the horizontal line, it is viewed as a flaw in technique. We know that Bolt has slight scoliosis, an abnormal curvature of the spine, best seen from a posterior view. However, this has clearly not prevented him from running world record sprint times. The question over Bolt's variation from the ideal technical sprinting model is whether this is a capacity issue or a skill issue. One would argue that Bolt has been training for so long, his skill level and technical competency should be extremely high, yet we see these big movement variations. However, as discussed in previous videos, all athletes are different. We don't know whether Bolt's scoliosis or other potential anatomical factors affect his running kinematics, which may force him to run in a particular way. What we do know is that Usain Bolt is fast, very fast.
When the discussion of Bolt's technique has been put to top coaches, some say that at this stage of his career, they wouldn't attempt to change any major aspects of his technique and would simply accept his unique style and not attempt to essentially fit square pegs into round holes. If you have an athlete who has run faster than any other human before, why would you try to change things? Now this video is of myself performing overhead squats right at the beginning of the academic year. As you will see, there are some capacity issues here. Although it might not be too clear, I have limited mobility in the ankle and hip, which means that my range of motion is restricted. There may be some slight skill issues here, largely because I haven't performed many overhead squats before, but the main problems are my lack of ankle dorsiflexion and hip flexion. When I originally looked back over the footage and saw the issues in my movement, I performed the lunge test and rock back test to establish just how limited that ankle and hip range of motions were. Examples of these tests can be seen in the following slides. Unfortunately, I didn't record the tests at the time, but these slides should give you an idea of the type of tests that they were. The test did show quite a severe lack of mobility in the hip and ankles, which helps to explain the overhead squat issues. Analysis of Usain Bolt is tricky because all the information we have is a few videos of his race start and the knowledge that his spine is scoliotic. The lack of information about this athlete limits the analysis, and it's difficult to establish whether there are capacity or skill issues. However, when discussing the problems in my overhead squat movement patterns, we know that my ankle mobility and hip mobility are both quite limited. That key information, along with the video footage, enables a coach to better determine what the issues are and whether they are capacity or skill-based.